I'm going to give you a new update on Skywatcher. For those that may not be so familiar, Skywatcher is a private coalition of military veterans, scientists, and analysts using advanced tech to study UAP. Now, in the following clip, this is from the interview that journalist Ross Coulthart conducted with UFO whistleblower Jake Barber, who allegedly worked for the legacy UFO crash retrieval program. In this clip that was published on January 23rd, 2025, Jake Barber himself says that he's going to bring UFO disclosure in 12 months, which will be, with the calculation, on January 23rd, 2026, which is 5 months from now. Let's first play that clip before we dive into the apparent halting of failed operations with Skywatcher.
You want this investigated, don't you?
Yeah, I want to do the investigating. That's what we're doing.
But would you quite like to see, as a result of this story, would you like to see yourself questioned and held to account for evidence and tested, your allegations?
Yeah, we have an opportunity right now to work with the U.S. government and as a private partner. The place where we operate right now, we've been successful before in conducting our whole operation, all 5 phases of it. The U.S. government has shown an interest. They know we're capable. They know what we've pulled out of the sky. It's consistent with the egg and everything else I've told you about. And what they're offering to do now is give us exclusive use access to facilities because they don't know what's going on. Departments, there are departments within the broader branches of the 3-letter agencies that aren't being read into what other sections are. So they want us to help, and because we're one of the few groups of people that have experience, and we provide them a path to redemption.
So there's a real message here from you of incredible optimism about what this could represent.
Yeah, this is why I know disclosure is coming, and guess what? It's going to come out in the most beautiful way. I believe the United States government in the next 12 months is going to use me and my team as a peaceful, non-judgmental path forward to disclosure. They're going to help us conduct our operations and gather evidence in order to present this subject matter to the public so that these questions can be answered once and for all. And all the questions, I'm talking about, what do the craft look like? How do they operate? Who is operating them? How are they being operated? And where are they coming from? We should be able to answer those questions probably entirely in the next 12 months.
Before I pour over the idea that Jake Barber and the Skywatcher team is going to bring disclosure within 5 months of today, we can focus on that a little bit later in the video, but I want to go over some other things that he said in that clip I just shared. He said that they're working with the U.S. government as a partner, and that the U.S. government knows they are capable of gathering evidence of UAP, that the U.S. government has given Skywatcher exclusive use access to facilities. And so he's saying that the U.S. government is doing this and that Skywatcher is going to provide a path to redemption. The suggestion seems to be that Skywatcher, according to Jake Barber, is going to facilitate disclosure in a way that is beneficial to the U.S. government and beneficial to the world. And he seems to be suggesting that it will minimize blowback and anger from the public. He went so far to say that the U.S. government is helping Skywatcher conduct their operations. And he even goes so far to say that all of the questions should be answered. What the craft look like, how they operate, who is operating them, how they are being operated, and where are they coming from. Well, frankly, that seems like a very tall order. I'd have to look back at his exact wording, how definitive he said all of that is going to happen. But at the very least, he signaled this is likely, from what I can tell. So great. I hope that's true, because if that's true, in 5 months, we're going to get the deepest questions answered about the phenomenon. So mark your calendar for January 23rd, 2026, because according to Jake Barber, there's a good chance that we'll get disclosure by then and all our questions answered about the phenomenon itself. I hope he's right. I'm rooting for Skywatcher. Now, Ross Coulthart did a question and answer for his reality check show on News Nation that published today, August 24th, where he talks about Skywatcher halting their field operations, which is a major thrust of this video, which I want to cover in depth. I'm going to play that clip and then another clip where he goes into it further, and we'll just kind of go from there in our analysis Skywatcher update.
I had heard a rumor that Skywatcher was looking at psionics, and I think there might have even been a statement from somebody in Skywatcher that their next phase was to look at psionics. So it did come as a surprise to me and other people that they were stopping their field operations. So frankly, if there is any bad blood between James Fowler and the rest of the Skywatcher team, I know he and Jake Barber are still very good mates, very good friends, so I know there's no issue there. If there is any issue, he's certainly not letting on about it. And I think all of us would wish James the very best, and many thanks for the great work that he's done.
So Ross is correct. I don't recollect where the exact quote comes from, but someone within Skywatcher, as I recollect, said that the next video drop they do on their YouTube channel would be about psionics. And psionics is a term used to underscore people out in the field using their consciousness to attract UAP into proximity of them. And there have been allegations that they could even get them to land through these activities. Psionics is what people do when they do CE5, essentially. As far as James Fowler leaving the team, and he's the guy that, as far as I understand, he brought in the dog whistle technology, which allegedly attracts UAP into proximity of the team. This is used independently of psionics or CE5. Maybe they could be used in combination. I don't know. But if Jake Barber is so confident that Skywatcher will bring disclosure, then the question that is begged is, why would James Fowler leave? I mean, if he's part of an organization that is literally going to bring disclosure, who in their right mind would leave when you would get the honor and go down in history the way he would by staying with the operation? So that's a little confusing to me, but we're going to continue monitoring Skywatcher and seeing how everything pans out. In the next clip, I'm just going to play it because Ross Coulthart clarifies James Fowler's role that he had with Skywatcher.
Jay on X, this is our most popular question that we did receive today. James Fowler is moving on from Skywatcher. What do you think this means, and how does it affect their mission?
James is a really good guy. He's the guy who provided a lot of the how does one say, the sensor technology, the radar systems, the camera systems, the technology that essentially allowed the Skywatcher team to detect objects as they were being allegedly summoned by either the psionics or the dog whistle.
So now we're going to share James Fowler's official statement regarding his departure, as well as what Skywatcher had to say, just to provide further context as we move forward in this video. Skywatcher wrote, "The Skywatcher team is excited to congratulate James Fowler on his new venture contracting with the U.S. government, and we sincerely thank him for his contributions to Skywatcher. He has played a key role in all of our field operations and in the data we have collected to date. As of this past July, our team completed its initial round of field operations, during which data was captured for 7 to 10 days each month, beginning in January. We now hold more than 10 terabytes of data and have assembled an external team of analysts and SMEs who have begun their work. We are working with world-class independent scientists, physicists, and radar specialists to evaluate the data in accordance with our discovery framework. In short, we have now entered our analysis phase. We are pursuing this work scientifically and rigorously, and we will share our findings as soon as they are available. The entire team is moving as quickly as possible. We'll have more updates to share soon. And now let's go to James Fowler's statement. And that's James Fowler, the author of this article, an update, Staring Toward New Horizons. From August 2024 to July 2025, I had the opportunity to serve as a founder and consultant at Skywatcher, where I led field operations supporting the mission of exploring unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and advancing air domain awareness. I am stepping away from active involvement with Skywatcher, with my contributions now limited to my foundational work. I am excited to focus on a new venture in aerial intelligence dedicated to building innovative technology to address complex challenges in this field. I remain proud of my foundational contributions at Skywatcher and wish the team continued success in their future endeavors. So it sounds to me like James Fowler is continuing the same professional endeavor of documenting and studying UAP, but now he's been contracted by the U.S. government. His new venture contracting with the U.S. government, to be precise. Look, I'm not trying to be cynical. In fact, I'm rooting for Skywatcher. My only point, and we don't have all the details, so this is not like a gotcha or an own, because we don't have all the details. But just as a contemplation, if Skywatcher is destined to bring disclosure to the world, as Jake Barber believes, why would you leave Skywatcher to contract for the U.S. government? Unless they're offering him a ton of money. Okay, that could be, right? There's a lot of possibilities. My only point is that if Skywatcher does end up bringing disclosure and answering all the questions about the phenomenon as Jake Barber anticipates is going to happen, I don't know. If it was me, unless I was offered boatloads of money, I would probably want to stay with Skywatcher just to be central to that effort and go down in history as being central to being instrumental to the biggest event in human history. Now, on the other hand, in fairness to James Fowler, he already was instrumental to Skywatcher, giving them the technologies, the sensors, the dog whistle, to whatever extent that he contributed to that. So him leaving is not going to take away his legacy. So that's a fair counter argument. Let's continue with this video.
I actually think Skywatcher's done very well. They're an organisation that have pushed the needle on UAP disclosure. They've obtained data, which is, I think, really exciting. Yes, of course, we would have loved something more than the quality of footage that they've obtained to date. But remember, we haven't seen all of Skywatcher's footage. I'm told there's much more there that hasn't been publicly released. I can't blame Alex Clokas and his equity backers from holding back on exactly what they've obtained. Alex is the private equity Wall Street financier who's funded a lot of the Skywatcher project in collaboration with a group of high net worth individuals, and good on them for putting their cash where their ideas are.
There are a few reasons I choose to take Skywatcher seriously instead of just brushing them off or assuming that they are nonsense. And bear in mind, taking them seriously doesn't mean I'm claiming that they're going to come up with anything significant. Those are two different things. I take them seriously and I'm going to watch them and I'm rooting for them, and I don't think that they are a joke in the sense that we should just assume it's all BS. But as far as what they end up bringing to the table, I'm not making any predictions. Now, one of the reasons I take them seriously is because they said that they are working with world-class independent scientists, physicists, and radar specialists to evaluate the data. And I know one of the scientists is Dr. Gary Nolan. He's an immunologist, biologist from Stanford University. He works at Stanford University. He has a lab named after him. He's one of the top scientists in the world in what he does. So I know that, and then there's other scientists working with Skywatcher because they are in the analysis phase. They're going to look at the data. That looks interesting. Let's see what their findings are, and I'm sure I assume they're going to get it all peer reviewed. And the fact that Alex Klokus and his equity backers are funding Skywatcher is somewhat promising, unless they just like throwing their money away to an operation that has no credibility. I think, at least on some level, they deserve benefit of the doubt. That they have reason to believe this Skywatcher operation is getting scientifically valid data and furthering our understanding of the UAP enigma. Now, Ross Coulthart mentioned that they have more footage they haven't released yet, but of course that begs the question, well, if they have better footage, why haven't they released it yet? Like, why would you save it for later, right? I don't know. Maybe there's a good reason. We'll keep our eyes peeled. And now that they're in the analysis phase, this is based on 7 separate field endeavors that lasted 7 to 10 days each. So as much as 70 days they have done field work and gathered their evidence using their sensors and the dog whistle and psionics and radar and whatever else they have at their disposal, right? So they're sifting through quite a bit of data.
And it looks like, from what the announcement today is indicating, it looks like they're discontinuing any more field operations now that James is withdrawing his equipment from the field, which is a great pity. I would have loved to have seen much more technology being used. For example, at one stage, I know there was talk of a NASA collaboration where NASA was going to bring a very high-quality camera in to allow much more high-resolution observation of objects. So I think, to be realistic, this has happened as something of a surprise to a lot of people, myself included. I wasn't aware until very recently that James was departing Skywatcher, and I think we all wish him the very, very best and hope he gets some lucrative contracts from the Defense Department. Hopefully he's finding lots and lots of UAPs.
From a transparency standpoint, I would, of course, have preferred that James Fowler stayed with Skywatcher, because Skywatcher is about transparency. If he's getting a contract with the Department of Defense, I don't know how that does that lead to transparency, or does that just lead to him doing study of UAP for the Department of Defense, but it's not going to be, their findings are not going to be revealed to the public. So that's why I would have preferred James Fowler to have stayed with Skywatcher. And as Ross Coulthart described, it sounds like they've finished their field operations largely because James Fowler has left and they no longer have the technology that James Fowler brought to the operation. I mean, that's my reading of the situation, at least. Now, in fairness to Skywatcher, in their August 18th update, they did say, as of this past July, our team completed its initial round of field operations, during which data was captured for 7 to 10 days each month, beginning in January. Initial round of field operations does leave the door open that they're still going to go back into the field, right? That it's a temporary halt, but we don't know that for sure. So that's really all I got right now. Yes, regarding a NASA collaboration with a really high resolution camera that Ross Coulthart heard was relevant at some point. That's a shame if that's not going to happen. I do think that at least from like visuals, from the concern of visuals, yes, the higher the resolution, the better. I mean, I watched the video that Skywatcher put out where they showed the various craft they filmed, the various class of craft, and they went all over. They went over it. Some of it was really interesting, but none of it was so unambiguous that we could say, yes, that's non-human intelligence, or even, yes, that is beyond next generation technology. Now, do they have radar returns and other sensor data corroborating that video, which makes it clear it is beyond next generation technology? Maybe. I don't know. They, if I recollect correctly, they seem to suggest they do, and if they did, well, great. They said that they're going to be transparent with their findings and publish them, so we'll know exactly what kind of sensors they used and what they discovered utilizing their sensors beyond just the video footage they took and what it all means, and presumably they will get it peer reviewed. I do hope they have better footage than they released. But they're in their analysis phase right now, as Skywatcher conveyed. And so they're poring over the 10 terabytes of data that they attained through their multiple field operations that encompass 7 to 10 days each month, beginning in January, all the way up, as I understand it, and through July. So that's about it. It looks interesting. I'm rooting for Skywatcher. I don't think we should just assume it's all BS and be cynical. Let their findings speak for themselves. If they bring their findings to the public and none of it is significant or substantial or moves the ball forward, then you can get upset. But right now, it seems to me to be premature to get upset. Be patient with your upsetness, if you will, because they might bring something important to the table, and I sure hope they do. Please do not forget to subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you can become a patron, you can become a YouTube member. You can give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities can be accessed in the description box below, or you can just slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for watching, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all YouTube members, patrons, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.